Greetings, adventurers, and well met Master of Dungeons here on the Master of Dungeons Twitch channel, twitch.tv/the Master of Dungeons. It is Tuesday, it's time for Dungeons and Deliberations. This is going to be, just to let everyone know, this is going to be our last stream at 2 p.m. Eastern, starting next Tuesday. Both our Dungeons and Deliberations and our Tavern Talks at the Shifty Boar on Wednesdays are moving from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And then our Dungeon Delving streams on Thursday and Friday will be moving from 2 p.m. Eastern to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Currently, we're on Eastern Daylight Savings Time. So, just like you know, next week we're moving to the new schedule. We're going to be posting that schedule up probably this Saturday on our stream. We might do it probably, maybe even perhaps after our Friday stream. We'll get everything updated, get all the times changed on the Twitch schedule on all of that. But to get to what we're doing today, we are working on a new campaign that we're going to be doing every other Tuesday, starting at the end of May. Well, hopefully loosely every other Tuesday. So sometimes instead of Dungeons and Deliberations, we'll actually have a live play D&D game where we're going to be taking some of our players that had played the Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen adventure with us. We're going to take them into a homebrew version of the Vecna, Eve of Ruin. One of the things that we're doing with them also is because a lot of the players tend to use D&D Beyond and then use an app called Beyond20, which is a great app. It's awesome. I've actually played with some of the people that worked on the app back in, I think, the fall of 2020. They explained the workings to me, all the stuff like that, showed me how to set up tokens and everything for everyone on D&D Beyond and your Roll20 room. But sometimes that extension will go down. Sometimes you might have a browser issue and stuff like that. So we've talked all the players into the first experience, some of them their first experience of actually playing their character completely in Roll20. That way they can utilize the different macros. We don't have any currently in here, but we can grab some from different things from our transmogrifier. If we wanted to pull some things in from there, we could pull in other macros. We'll have macros. This is just their testing room. For them to test out everything that they're learning how to use Roll20 basically. And then once we finish getting all of the characters together and get their character sheets all ready to go, we'll just simply use the character vault basically to transfer them over, or I'll transmogrify them over to the new Vecna Eve of Ruin game, which I'll get set up as soon as it comes out, because it comes out on the 21st of May, and we are planning our first session to be that evening. And that evening, those games will be at 8:30 p.m. from 8:30 to midnight on Tuesdays. So basically what I was going to do today is I'm going to create a character basically using some of the stuff from D&D Beyond and some of the stuff from Roll20. A lot of the players have D&D Beyond. If you don't happen to have this is even something you can do with a free subscription to Roll20. You don't have to have your a pro account or a plus account or anything like that. If you don't have all of the stuff for the player's handbook and all you have is the SRD in your Roll20 room, you can still put stuff from your D&D Beyond account into your Roll20 room without having to if you like, for example, if you happen to purchase everything, pick everything up. By the way, there's a new adventure that did come out today on D&D Beyond. It's free. You can go claim it on D&D Beyond. Let's see if I've got that. I don't think I have that here. Let me double check, see if I've still got it on. No, we don't. Okay. But yeah, it's the new Lost Caverns that is available. It's a quick play version of the one that's going to be in the Infinite Staircase, but that is on D&D Beyond. But like I said, I'm going to create a character from scratch to show them and you how easy it is to create a character. We're just going to simply create a character. We're going to name him Dracowin. Obviously, in order to get some character art, we'll just go over here, and what we'll do is we're going to look through some premium assets. We're going to just make a standard fighter. So we just got to go through and find some humans. We'll just type in human here, get some artwork for him. Taking a little time to search. We got a lot of stuff in our Roll20 library. We're going to actually edit the sheet directly on this character. Maybe not human. There we go. Okay. So we'll go through and look for our art assets that we've already picked up. Nope, we don't want some of those. Those are. Oh, that's good. We'll use that for Draco one. We'll just use that one. So we'll edit. We'll come over here. We'll put this in here for Draco one. We'll set that there. All right, so we're just going to edit the sheet directly. What you want to do is obviously create your first level character. Their characters they're actually bringing in. You might recognize Das from the couple of sessions that we had of the last 2 sessions of the Dragonlance game. That was played AL. We're actually going to be playing this homebrew, but the characters are taking some of their characters from different AL campaigns that there's really nothing else that they can do with those characters since those are limited campaigns, and they're going to basically de-level them down to 10th level so that we can homebrew Vecna, Eve of Ruin. They're going to be faced with a little bit of challenges, of course, because most of the experience they have playing with me has been Adventurers League. A lot of them, some of their really haven't played a lot of homebrew. So there's going to be a few challenges we'll face as getting them used to playing homebrew. I'm still the same type of DM in homebrew games that I am in normal games as well. But the other characters coming in is we do have Blink coming in. These characters played in the Call of the Netherdeep Adventurers League setup. We have Blink, we have Minerva coming in. We also have Renly, Captain Renly. The name of their group is the Captain and 10 Eels. 10 Eels. Because Renly is he's a Fathomless Warlock. And does have Stumpy, his tentacle from the deep, he can bring out. We also have Agnoth, who is a custom lineage from Tasha's, kind of based on a knoll. And then we have Divana, who is who is the cleric as well. I think actually she might be a druid, Twilight druid. I can't remember exactly. But they're still getting their characters into here. But they were having questions about how do I add this, how do I add that, all of that stuff. There's multiple ways you can do it. If you happen to have anything you have to put in there from the SRD, you can just search it in your compendium, find it in there, and drag it over, and it will drop right in here. Like, for example, this is your traits, just like a normal D&D character sheet. We have all of our global modifiers on and access for guidance, for bless. If we have to add anything else in there, we can show everyone how to do that as well. Any global damage modifier, we don't have that yet. And all of this. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just make him a fighter. I'm going to show us a simple, easy way to make a first level fighter. We don't have a subclass yet because we're only going to be level 1. We can go through and pick his race. He's going to be human. Make it really simple and easy. We're going to make him variant human actually, so that way we can get a feat at first level. So we're going to go variant human. Creature type is humanoid. We don't have a subclass yet or anything like that. So then we go through and roll his stats. You can do the point buy system, or you can do however your DM is going to have you design your character's stats. We're just going to throw in. We're going to say that he's got a 16 strength. We're going to go ahead and give him a 16 con. Because he gets +1 from two different stats as a variant human, and then that'll give us 2 15s. We'll probably go with a 10, 12, or 10, 10, 12, and 8 then. So we're actually going to put his dexterity down to a 10 since we're going to be wearing medium to heavy armor. We're going to go ahead and put his charisma down to an 8. He's just going to be a brash fighter. And then we do have a 10 and a 12. We're going to actually add a 12 to his intelligence. Actually, no, let's go with wisdom because we want him to be perceptive a little bit more than anything like that. So you go through your stats. You put your stats in there. Obviously, put them in the bottom boxes so you actually see the modifiers up here. He's a fighter, so he's got strength and constitution. So let's go through. You just go over to your thing here. We're going to make a character class. Which use your race and put your racial stats in and stuff like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here and look at human. we're going to find all these things for humans. So we're going to come down here and go to human traits. Now, really simple and easy to do this. All you got to do is come over here. We're going over here to our traits, which is where they are on your regular D&D character sheet. We're just going to go human traits. Source is going to be racial, obviously. First level character. And then we're just going to come over here and you can just copy and paste, or you can put them in manually if you want. And then come right back over. And we have in here your ability score. Scores each increase by 1. Age tells you about the age stuff, the different size that you can be, your speed, your languages and stuff like that. So we can speak common and one extra language of our choice, and so on. And then we're actually going to do this. We're going to leave that set where it is, but we're going to go ahead and pick our language. So we're going to go ahead and put in common, and let's say we also speak giant. We'll do it that way. So what you can do is you can either go over here and search common or giant to add them to your different proficiencies, or you can just come over here and add a proficiency. So we're just going to add languages. Oops. And our languages are going to be common, giant. All right, so that way we have our languages in there. We're all good to go there. When we click on that, it's going to bring it up over to our screen. Hey, we speak common and giant. If you do have stuff in your SRD, things of that nature, we can go common. And it's going to come over here and proficiencies. It has your common language tongue, also like that. You can just simply drag that over from the. This is going to say Player's Handbook instead of SRD, but it'll put its own entry over there. Anytime you want to get rid of any of these, you just click on the unlock button, click the hashtag, and it gets rid of it for you. If we wanted to edit, say for example, we want to go ahead and later on we do get another language, just click on the little cog, and we just add it right in there, and then just close the cog, and it would add in that language. So we picked languages, common and giant. Our size, we come back over here to our bio. Our size is medium. Our age, we'll go ahead and put him like at 22. You pick his height and weight. We'll say just 6 foot. I usually add 15 pounds to whatever their strength is, maybe 20 pounds sometimes. So we're going to go ahead and put 175. Let's do normal. Brown, brown, brown. Okay, so we've got our human stuff in there. We've got an age. We've got the ability score. Each one of those increases by 1. However, we're not going to do that because of the fact that we're actually going to put in variant human as a trait. That is a racial thing, as a first level character. And then we're going to come over, and sorry if the brightness changed there. We're going to do this right here. Now, if your campaign uses optional feat rules from Chapter 6 of the PHB, your Dungeon Master might allow these variant racial feats, all of which replace the human's ability score increase trait. So this first trait that we had on here, which is the ability score increase, we replaced that with all of this. We increased 2 different ability scores of our choice by 1. And we gain proficiency in one skill of our choice. As we already mentioned earlier, we're going to pick perception, and we're actually going to put that in parentheses here so that we know what our choice was. And then we gain 1 feat of our choice. So we're actually going to put over here what we put the additions to. We're going to put strength and con. So that way we know where we put those stats and don't have to worry about it. Then we'll go through and pick our feat. Now keep in mind this as well. It's a change in Dungeons and Dragons. It's not just specifically to AL. It's an optional thing, I guess, if you want to, if you as the DM wants to keep it as an option feat, but every character now, when they choose their background, if their background does not include a feat, they can choose to either take tough or they can choose to take skilled. That is just a standard D&D thing all over. If you're playing the Dragonlance game, the Dragonlance hardcover does mention the new stuff in there. Plus, at Dragonlance characters actually get an extra 4th level feat playing that campaign. So Das, our Minotaur Paladin, is going to be coming in with an extra feat that he got at 4th level from playing the Dragonlance. Especially since we're doing that since they're all coming from different areas. One of the groups, most of the group, 5 of them are coming from Wildmount. And Tal'Dorei, how you'd like to pronounce it. And then Das is coming in from Kryn. So then we go through and we'll pick another feat, gain 1 feat of her choice at 1st level since he's going to be a fighter. Let's go ahead and give him, let's check out some feats here. Well, let's actually go over here to find the feats that we're going to be using. So let's go to next chapter. Actually, let's go to Player's Handbook. We'll come back down to the feats. And we'll kind of peruse through those, see what we'd like to pick up. Dual Wielder's nice. We're going to have him start off dual wielding. Alert is really nice. It gives him advantage on his, or it gives a +5 to his initiative checks. Athlete's pretty cool. It only takes 5 feet to move to stand up. Climbing doesn't cost him any extra movement. We can also increase his strength or dex score by 1, which is nice. There's a number of feats and Tasha's as well, different things that we can pick up. Durable's really nice as well. Great Weapon Master, heavily armored. Gain proficiency with heavy armor. He already has that, so we'd have to go with Heavy Armor Master. So basically, we increase his strength to a 17. And then while he's wearing heavy armor, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage from non-magical attacks is reduced by 3. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to pick some stuff here. We're not going to be thinking about optimizing or anything like that. We're just kind of creating the character to try to show you how to put it in manually. So we're going to come over here. We're going to put in parentheses, Heavy Armor Master. So that way we know what feat we picked. So we also put our skill in there. And we put our ability scores in there. So then we can just go ahead and click on this, Variant Humans. That's all done there. So then what we'll do, close that down, is we'll add Heavy Armor Master. And this is a feat. We put it in 1st level Variant Human because that's when we got it, and the source of it was Variant Human. So we'll put that in there as that. We can easily come back over here and pick this right here. Prerequisite proficiency with heavy armor. You can use your armor to deflect strikes that would kill others, all of that. So we're going to increase our strength score by 1 more. So it's going to put us up to a 17. And you know what? We're actually going to do, because since, no, that's good. That's good there. So we go, the strength will go up to a 17. And then I always put it here. No, we don't need to really put it in there. But then, of course, we have the ability while we're wearing heavy armor, all of that. So that is that feat there. Then we're going to put in tough. We're going to take the tough feat. That is a feat that we get, just the bonus feat at 1st level, because we're not going to pick a background that has a feat in it already, so that way we'll go ahead and add this in there. Since what I usually like to do is I usually like to put the racial stuff in, or lineage, or species, whatever you want to call it, whatever they're going to be calling it this fall when the new books come out, which is awesome. I always like to do the racial stuff first, then the background, and then the character. The way that the Player's Handbook has it is you pick your race, then your class, and then your background. I kind of need to switch background and class around. That way you can get an idea of, if you can already have the idea of what class you're going to play, but then you can choose an appropriate background, and then from that background add on to even a little bit more depth once you actually get the character. So we're going to say first level background feet. That's what we're going to put from that. Since we don't have since our background will not have a feat. Probably going to pick soldier or something like that. So we'll go over here and pick up tough. Again, like I said, this is really helpful for those that don't. I always recommend to pick everything up in Roll20. They're generally half the cost of what they are in D&D Beyond or the actual hardcovers themselves, and it makes using the Character Mancer so much easier, streamlines everything. I'm fortunate enough. I mean, you can mix and match. Like, for example, I would make my compendiums available to all my clients when we're playing games. Except for my virtual D&D weekends, I don't have everything available to them, but it's easily accessible. And in return, a lot of players will give me access to their D&D Beyond stuff through their shared campaigns. So it's kind of a balance either way, depending on what you're more familiar with, what you're more comfortable with, all of that. Since I use Roll20, I mean, we just surpassed 7,000 hours a couple weeks back. So since I primarily use Roll20, I always purchase the hardcover, the hard copy, and then I purchased it in Roll20 and have access to it for the players. And then, of course, somebody will purchase the hard copy and the digital copy via D&D Beyond, so we'll have access to that as well. But for tough, then it tells us what a tough is. We'll just go ahead and he starts off with maximum hit points at first level, which is 10 plus his con modifier, which is 13 plus the tough feat. Will give us 15 hit points to start off with. Oops. So we're going to put those in there. Let's see. Let's do the background next. So we've got all of his human traits. We've got his human traits, his variant human, heavy armor master, and tough feat in there. Now we're going to go through and work on a background. As I mentioned before, we're going to probably go with a scroll all the way up here to the top. Table of contents. We'll come over here to backgrounds. Now let's just make him a folk hero. He's going to be a folk hero. So we're going to take the folk hero. And we're going to do this. We're not going to copy all of the defining events. We're just going to come over here. We're going to put folk hero. It's going to be background. First level character. So this is going to give us skill proficiencies of animal handling and survival. We don't have to take those. With a background, for example, we also don't have to take the one type of artisan's tools and the vehicle's land. For your backgrounds, you can choose up to two skills, and then a combination of up to two tool proficiencies and or languages. So you can pick one tool proficiency and one language and two skills. You can pick two languages and two skills, all of that. That's a way that you can, that's just basically from creating your own backgrounds, from the backgrounds, being able to customize your backgrounds in the player's handbook. So instead of survival and animal handling, which animal handling is wisdom, you know what? We probably should just go ahead and stick with those. So yeah, let's just go ahead and stick with animal handling, and we'll stick with survival. And then we get some artisan's tools if we want, and then vehicles land if we want. Let's just go. Let's stick with vehicles land. And then let's go ahead and put a language proficiency in here as well. So we speak giant and common already. Let's have him speak orc as well. Again, we'll come over here, just edit this. Orc. Close that down. And then he does get a set of artisan's tools of our choice, which we still get for the equipment. You can go sell that for half price if your DM allows you at the beginning of the campaign. I think all of them are changing in the new rules. So like, I think 20 or 10 or something. The tools are all going to be the same price. So you get a shovel. We can go ahead and search in here to see if we have shovels in here. Oh, there's a shovel. Sweet. Okay. And apologize for my familiar back there. She's meowing when she doesn't need anything. So let's go ahead and go with tools because we do get a set of tools. We don't have the adventurers, the list there, so we're going to come back up here. We're going to go to gear. Adventuring gear. Here, oh, tools. There we go. Tools. There we are. We'll go ahead and pick some alchemist supplies that we're going to start with. And we'll sell those for 25 gold. So we'll start with an extra 25 gold. So we also get a shovel. Oops. So we're using simple encumbrance as well. We're not making encumbrance. Some people do make it very, very detailed and intricate in their D&D games. You know, how much you're carrying, how are you going to get these things out of here, which is really, really important to some people. I kind of hand wave most of that just to keep the story going, depending on how much it is. I mean, obviously, if there's thousands and thousands and thousands of coin, doesn't even matter if it's copper. A coin still weighs the same amount as a coin. So it's easier to drag and drop from the SRD to drag our shovel over here. We also start with an iron pot. Drag that over there. That way at least we have the weight. And again, when you see these things pop up, I'm not sure. We'll have to double check that in a second. Common clothes. All right. Normally, it used to be that you wouldn't drop it in the white box, but let's see if that works now or not. Okay, it still works now, so you can drop it in the white box. Used to be you want to drop it outside the white box, but it works now just as fine. And then we also have a pouch. Just a regular old pouch. And then our defining event, we can come back over here to backgrounds again. Maybe I'll just back up. And we'll come down here to folk hero. We'll go ahead and just pick number 7. Because you can roll or pick them, your choice. We're going to go to defining event. Train the peasantry to use farm implements as weapons against the tyrant's soldiers. All right, so that gets our background down. We let us know what our proficiencies is. Now we can either come over here and drag the land vehicles over here, or we could just put them in manually, which is what we're doing. So we're gonna go with vehicles, land, proficient. We're gonna go to query, attribute, and we are proficient. Basically what query means is that, okay, I'm going to use vehicles land. What do you want me as the DM? What do you want me as the player to use as, do you want me to use my wisdom and perception? Do you want me to use my dexterity? Or do you want me to use my strength, depending on what the situation is? So when we do that, it's going to basically, what attribute is the DM wanting you to use? Wanting us to use strength, so it'll basically, we'll put in the query. We'll ask you for which stat you want, and then you can fill it in right there. I always recommend putting that for all your tools over here. That way, when the DM asks you to make a tools check, you can always say, okay, well, what I would prefer to use this, or ask the DM first what skill or what attribute you like to they would want you to use. And of course, you can maybe suggest it, if your DM's open to it, say, can I maybe do it with this skill instead, or with this attribute instead? But that way, it's just set to the query. Obviously, these tools are usually default Dex. So when it's queried, usually select Dex for Thieves Tools. But just in case, DM might want an intelligence, a Thieves Tools intelligence check with Thieves Tools. So that's how you do those queries. All right, we added our language, we added our skill proficiencies already, we added all of our equipment and our gold. We sold the alchemist tools for half price to start off with a little bit of extra gold. And then now our background is done. We got to put, actually, no, it's not. My apologies. We do have to put in our background feature, which is rustic hospitality. So we're going to come over here again, and we're going to put in rustic hospitality. We're going to put background. Over here will be folk hero feature. Bam, so we got that done in there too. So you can always minimize these just by clicking on the title of each trait, right? If you want to send that trait, if you want to edit that trait, you click on the cog and close the cog. Again, touching on the name to minimize it or maximize it. And then if you want to put it into the chat, you just hit the little chat bubble and it'll put that trait into the chat for you. That way, if you say, hey, I'm a folk hero. Okay, well, lets the DM know everything that all the choices you made for folk hero. You want to show your rustic hospitality. Hey, will this come into play if we're out in the countryside helping a farmer with, fighting off some goblins or something? That would probably apply. Okay, so that is all the background. Now we're going to go to our fighter class. The first thing we're going to put in is we're going to put in fighter. Source class. First level character. Oops, put a spell. All right, so we're going to come back over here. Again, this is if you're wanting to use your D&D Beyond content, especially since there's not really any official PDFs or anything like that. You should be using your D&D Beyond to copy stuff over if you need to. Again, this is just if you don't have the books already in there or your DM doesn't already have the books in there. So we're going to go over here to fighter. We're not going to put in the whole description of the fighter and all of that. Basically what we're going to come down here to do is we're just going to put the class features. So we're just going to go with hit points, proficiency, and equipment. Come back over here and we'll put fighter traits. Is that what that was? Fighter traits? Class features, there we go. Fighter class features. We're going to come over here and just paste all that in there. Now again, we're going to have to make some choices in this. So our hit points and our hit dice is die 10 per fighter level. Hit points at first level 10 plus our con mod. Hit points at higher levels, a die 10 or 6 plus our constitution modifier. For every level after first. We get proficiency with all armor and shields. So we can come back over here to proficiencies. We can put in armor. If you want to you can put right there in proficiency, you can put all armor. Or you can just do what I generally do is I go light. Heavy armor. And then shields. There's proficiency with all of the armor. Then we'll go down to our weapons. We'll add another proficiency. We'll go down here to be a weapon. And then we'll put a type in there. Simple martial weapons. So that's our proficiencies there. So we get 2 skills that we can choose from for being a fighter itself. Choose 2 skills, and then we're going to pick from the fighter list. We're actually just going to come back with what skills we're using. So we're going to go ahead and take athletics, and we already took a little bit of wisdom, so let's go ahead and go with insight. So we'll go with athletics and insight as the choices that we would make. We already got survival from our folklore or folk hero background. So we're going to go athletics and insight. Go up here, we're going to click on athletics. We're going to click on insight. So we're not shaping up to be too bad. I mean, we're not bad at survival. We're pretty good with athletics, and then we're kind of perceptive, a little bit insightful, and we can deal with animals if we need to. And then we'll go through and select it automatically when you select your character class in Roll20. It automatically clicks on your saves with your saves you are proficient with. But then we just got to make some choices about our equipment. In addition to the equipment we've already picked from our background, we're going to take chain mail, or leather armor, longbow, and 20 arrows. I'm going to pick either a martial weapon and shield or two martial weapons. And then either a light crossbow and 20 bolts or two hand axes. And then either a Dungeoneer's pack or an Explorer's pack. We're going to have them use sword and board to start with. So we're going to go with chainmail. So we're going to delete the choice there. And we're not going to go with two martial weapons. We're going to go with martial weapon and shield. We're actually going to go with choice B, two hand axes. We can always pick up some coin. We might even just buy a short bow with that coin right there. And then we're going to go ahead and take B, an Explorer's pack. So again, the SRD would have chainmail in there, so you can easily go chainmail. Oops. We're going to have normal chainmail. Pull that over here. And it should update our AC automatically. A martial weapon, we're going to actually just go with longsword, which is the martial weapon. Actually, let's do it this way. Put that in there, that way we know that was one of our choices. We took longsword. Nope, that's proficiencies. Got to be careful there. We don't want the longsword proficiency. We want to make sure that we get the longsword item. So there we go. Now, once we add the longsword to our character sheet, it will automatically throw a longsword up here, one-handed or two-handed, for us in our combat. We'll go through and also show you how to adjust some of those, because as we mentioned, as I mentioned to them when I was explaining some of this stuff to them, almost everything has a cog. Your skills don't, because your skills you can adjust on your character sheet overall cog, because you basically have the three sheets you have for a normal D&D sheet: your core sheet, your bio sheet with all that information, and then your spells. We're not going to have any spells. But a little tip for you as well. Pretty much everything that you have, every character class, if they have a DC save, whether it be from like grappling, anything like that, brawling, monks have a DC save like their stunning strike, all that stuff like that. You can easily calculate what that is, because it's always 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your ability score modifier. So whatever your main ability score modifier is for those, just simply go up here and just click on that. Like, for example, if I have any sort of DC save for my strength ability, it'll be a 13, because it automatically calculates in there 5 plus my proficiency bonus plus 5 plus my 8 plus my ability modifier plus my proficiency bonus. So my modifier to strength is +3, my proficiency bonus is +2, which takes it up to a 5, and then 5 plus 8 is 13. So that's a simple way to calculate those for you without having to just calculate them all the time, trying to figure out what they are. So we've taken the longsword, and then we need to get a shield as well. Obviously, the shield master is going to pop up from the feet because we have the player's handbook. Again, we're acting as if we wouldn't, so if we had to put that in manually, we would put that in manually. But we are just going to go down here to a regular shield. There we go. And it's saying starter set. It would be it would say SRD if you don't have the Dragons of Stormwreck Isle. I actually have that in my thing, so that's kind of replacing the SRD version of that. And again, as we mentioned earlier, it does update our AC, so we're already up to 18. We forgot to put our movements at 30, which we had from being a human. Then we'll put in 2 hand axes. Now we could drag another one in there if we wanted to, or we could just come over here and put 2. And it did not update our weight. No, it did. Okay. It's just not, it's just, there's 2 of them at 2 pounds each. Okay. There we go. So we have 2 hand axes, and it brings up our hand axe here as well for our attacks. And then we have an explorer's pack. Now, there's a couple of different ways you can do explorer's packs. You could just find out the weight of an explorer's pack and come back over here to gear, table of contents, adventuring gear. It'll have our explorer's pack, what's in it. Should have that right in here. We go, equipment packs. So explorer's pack does not say how much it weighs, but you could go through and calculate each one individually. What we're going to do is, since we're going to take up an explorer's pack, we're actually going to copy this. We're going to come back over here and an explorer's pack, and we're going to put in parentheses that information, what comes in that explorer's pack. So what we'll want to do is, again, most of the stuff is already in the SRD, so you just will simply drag it and drop it. So instead of, we could easily come over here and put an explorer's pack. Might not have an actual explorer's pack in there. Oh, yep, there's an explorer's pack here. So if it's not in the SRD, we just want to go through and do it individually. I like to do it individually in my characters just because I would, yeah, we can look in here, see what it is in an explorer's pack, but that way you can just take a quick glance over your inventory to see what's actually in your explorer's pack. So then we're just going to go through and we're actually going to put explorer's pack. We're not going to put any weight on it because the pack itself's not really going to weigh anything. But obviously the explorer's pack includes the backpack. So we're going to come over here first, get our backpack. Oops, not with a apostrophe. There we go. Backpack there. We get a bedroll. Again, all this stuff is in the SRD. Then we're going to grab a mess kit. The spell. Drag that over. We also have a tinderbox. We have 10 torches. Items, we don't want rules, we want the item. There we go. Yeah, always double check if it's like an item or rules or proficiencies, things like that. We want to make sure we have the proper ones in there. We want to jack that up to 10. We also have 10 days of rations. So we're going to go ration. Oops. Items, rations. There we go. I'm going to put that back up to 10 also. And then we also have a water skin. And then we have rope. And we specifically have hempen rope, so we're going to put that over there. And then what I always like to do is I just come over here and go 50 feet. That way we know how much we have. If we have 2 ropes, and of course if we have 100 feet of rope and it's in 2, we put it over here. Or if we just have a one thing there, 100-foot rope, we put that there. That just double the weight of it. And that is all of the equipment that we get from the fighter class features and all of that. So all of our fighter class features are all done. Everything's finished up there and all of that. So our AC's already been updated, all of that. We'll come back over here to fighter again. Now we'll go fighting style. Again, we're going to copy and paste. And we're going to actually leave this blank for a moment. We're just going to put a little hyphen there. I'm going to push this down here. And then we're going to decide which one we want. While wearing armor, I usually go with defense, which is nice. Protection is pretty cool. That's also interesting to impose disadvantage if someone's attacking one of your companions. But let's just go with defense since we've already got that. Gives us an extra +1. And we're going to go defense over here. Now, this is where these global modifiers will come in. At the end, you can turn on your global modifiers over here. In this column of your character sheet, that will have and allow you to add different modifiers for your different sets of stats, your different areas, your attacks, stuff like that. For example, we have a global modifier here. I hate it when it's capitalized. My apologies. We have a global modifier for our saves, and we have a global modifier for our attack called Bless. So that way, if we do get the Bless spell cast upon us, we simply come over here and we click on we get Bless on our attacks, we have Bless on our saves. So there we go. Anytime we make a roll with our longsword, it'll pop up with the plus beside it showing the Bless. So it shows you your roll, and then it shows us what we roll for the Bless. I always have I prefer the players always roll advantage all the time. I always take the left hand roll unless they have advantage or disadvantage. If they have advantage or disadvantage, then we will apply the right hand roll with it as well. But otherwise, it's always just the first roll. Some players like to have the toggle it on and off, which you can do that over here as well. You can have always roll advantage. You can have advantage toggle, query advantage, never roll advantage. Over there, I always have the players play with always roll advantage. That way, they don't have to take time turning it on or off when they're rolling. I always, obviously, you can let your players decide how you want to do that. And then I don't have them auto roll damage just because it's fun for them to roll their damage. So they want to always click on that and roll it, especially since you're not rolling with real dice and such. So we'll come back over to core. So we put in our fighting style defense. So now what we can do is we can come over here. Let's go ahead and turn our bless off since we're not blessed. Come over here, we can check guidance. I always like to add an extra one to these right off the bat, an extra skill modifier. We're not going to turn that on. We're just going to put it here. I'm going to put pass without trace. We're going to put 10. So what happens is pass without trace automatically adds 10 to your stealth check. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on that. And we're going to click our stealth. And that gives us a 12 because it shows heavy armor, that we're wearing heavy armor. So it made us roll with disadvantage, which is fine. But that adds that 10. That way, if you happen to have pass without trace on, you just click on it. Obviously, if the one of your clerics or someone else that has guidance gives you guidance, you can click on guidance for your next check, so it'll roll or automatically give you the guidance on there as well, and just click it off on your character sheet. Again, always minimize your character sheet just by double clicking the name once or twice, I should say, double clicking it. And then you can move that tab around to wherever you want on your screen, and then just double click it again, and it'll bring your character sheet back up wherever you left it last time. That way you don't have to pop it out into another tab and try to have to switch between tabs and such like that, or windows while you're playing D&D. All right, so now that we've got the fighting style in, what we need to do is we need to add that defense. So we're going to put defense fighting style, and that value is a 1. So we're going to click that, and we'll make sure that's clicked so that it's on. So now we should have an AC of 19, and we do. Perfect. So that's our fighting style. And then at first level, we do have second wind. So we're going to go ahead and copy second wind, and we're going to put in second wind as a class feature, first level fighter. We're actually going to do that. We should put this up here as well. Oh, it's also when you minimize them, it's easier for you to see, okay, I'm looking for my class features. Okay, all my first level features are up here. Second will be down because this will get fairly long as you're creating your characters and stuff. Put this in here. You have a stamina. You can draw to protect yourself from harm. It will be a +10 plus your fighter level. Must finish a short rest or long rest before you can use it again. So now, what you can do with that is you can actually set it up as a damage modifier if you wanted to, or you could set up second wind as an attack. What we're going to do is we're just going to set it up as a global damage modifier. We would never really have to turn it on, but what we can do here is click on this. We're going to put second wind is going to do 1d10. We're going to, you will need to go through sometimes and change some of these manually. We're going to put 1d10 plus 1 because that does do our fighter level, and we're going to put healing in there. So whenever we need to click on it, we don't actually click on the second one, we actually just click on this over here, and it'll pop up healing for us, for our second wind. What we could alternatively do is we can go ahead and get rid of that one. Still has an area 4 global damage modifier if we need it. And we can go up here and add an attack. So what we want to do is we want to put in second wind. We're going to turn the attack off. We're not going to add anything to it. We're just going to put dash. And we're going to put our spell level, or put our class level right there. Oops. And we don't have to click proficient because it's not going to make an attack roll. It's just going to roll the damage. Oops, we don't need that. My apologies. That one does not go there. It comes down here. 1d10. Does not do anything there. We'll put 1 for our level right there. 1d10 plus 1. Healing. All right, so then when we do second wind, it just automatically rolls for us. So you can put it up here if you want to. You can put it down, put up here in your attacks if you want to, because it does show you that it's healing damage, and it does show you what the stat is. If you put it down in your global damage modifier, it's just going to say healing. It's not going to say second wind. So I myself always put it up here in the weapons area. And then when you level up, you just simply come in and change the 1 to a 2. Change this number to whatever level your character is. I'm sure they're working on doing something in here for level wise, but I always just put that down to a dash so it doesn't have anything added to it that way. And I think that is our final ability. Alternatively, now I'm not sure if this works, so we can double check this to see. What we can do is we can put healing. And in order to make a dice roll, if you put double brackets at the front of it, 1d10 plus 1, and then put double brackets, close brackets at the end of it, sometimes it'll roll that for you. I can't remember if it rolls from your traits or not. So what we'll do is we'll set that up there, and then whenever we put it into chat, it rolls it as well. So it does roll it as well. So what you can do is you can actually modify that second wind in the description of it, so you don't even have to use this second wind up here. So we can go up here, close the second wind down, or get rid of that, and then just save this way. That way, whenever we need to use our second one, we just click on it, bam, it automatically rolls our healing for us down here at the bottom. What you can do also then is you can come up here and we can go class resource 1 second wind. So when you spend it, you can come up here and take it out. Alternatively, also, if you have like arrows, you can put your arrows up here. You can click on that other resource and it'll add a resource. You can add another box, a couple of boxes underneath there if you have any other resources that you need to add, whether it be like channel divinities. Again, this is all if you're putting everything in manually. Channel divinities, things of that nature, stuff like that. So second wind, and I don't believe we have anything else for the fighter yet. We don't get an archetype, we don't get action surge yet, or anything of that nature. So yeah, there we go. We have a ready to go first level fighter. Obviously, you can just go through and fill in all your bio stuff. You can go through, pick all of your own characteristics, copy and paste them in there, type them in yourself, come up with your own personality traits. That works well as well. But that is basically how we go through and manually create a character in Roll20. Uh, then you just have minor adjustments to make if you want to do it manually as well. As I said, if your DM has all of the books already shared in his compendium, you can use the Character Mancer. It does a lot of easy stuff. Even with the Character Mancer, you can go through after the characters made the Character Mancer and modify and change stuff and edit stuff to help you and your fellow players and DM with stuff that's going on in the game. We do have an ad break getting ready to come in here for a few minutes. I'm going to go ahead and click on that, take a small little break, go check on our familiar, and we'll be right back on the other side of the ad break. Please stick around. right, back on this side of the ad break. All right, so that was basically creating a first level fighter from scratch, and all of that. Now, we're not going to create a new character, but what we're going to do is show you how to put spells in. Pretty much everything else, as I mentioned over here, your characteristics, you can edit those, put in your own ideals, personality traits, all that stuff like that. I'm just going to close them down. They do start automatically open. I'm just going to close those down for now. But yeah, so like if you have adjustments you need to make to initiative that you're not sure how to do that, most of the time if you pull them in from the SRD or from the player's handbook or different source books, it'll add those things in there. But say for example we took the alert feat and we didn't drag it in, we put it in manually. What we would come over here to do is we would click on this, and this is where you can put in adjustments for the character. For example, if you're a rogue, you can come up here and you can pick expertise and the things you pick expertise in. If you're a bard and you would need jack of all trades, you can click jack of all trades back over here. Will automatically add half your proficiency bonus to all your rolls. If you're a rogue and you get reliable talent, you can turn that on back over here. If you have a passive perception modifier from different things, like whether it be, like for example, I think, what is it? With the shield. That gives you advantage. Shield. Why can't I think of it at the top of my head? Sentinel shield. There we go. What a sentinel shield does is the sentinel shield doesn't show the whole thing. While holding this shield, you have advantage on initiative rolls and wisdom perception checks. Okay, so basically what you would do is that if you have advantage on those checks, you get a +5 to your passive. So what you would do is you would come back over here, you could type in your Sentinel Shield, create your own template in there, come back over here. You would then go through and turn on your initiative style to advantage, and then you would come down here and put passive perception modifier 5, because if you have advantage or disadvantage, you have a +5 or a -5 to your check. So that's how that would happen. If you have disadvantage on your passive perception, you would subtract 5 from your passive perception. You can also put in custom classes over in this side. If you want to multi-class to other classes, you do that from back here as well. It does have extra things that you can put on there, like for example, if you're a Goliath, you have a powerful build. If you happen to be a halfling with halfling luck, if you're an arcane rogue or an arcane fighter, basically an eldritch knight or an arcane trickster, you can change those over there. If you get any bonuses, like a strength modifier from like a belt or intelligence modifier from like a headband of intellect or something, you can change that there as well. They also have your armor class tracking where you can do a custom. Like we're doing automatic because we're just dragging, dropping, putting everything over there. But if you do custom, like for a monk or for a barbarian or a turtle, things along those lines, you can put those back here as well. And then any hit point modifiers, you can add those over here. If you want to put in like the toughness modifier, you can put that in here instead of putting it or just adding it yourself every level. If you happen to have a cloak protection, or ring of protection, you can put those over here, like a global save modifier over here, things like that. Lots of different things you can turn on and off for the character sheet, for the character rules as well. If you happen to have things, an item that will give you an extra spell slots, you can change those back here as well. So that's basically what you can do with your settings for the character sheet. Now, say we're going to do spells. Obviously, he doesn't have any spells, but let's say we want to put in a spell, and it's perhaps maybe something that's not in the SRD that you might not have access to. So what we're going to do is come back over here to our handy D&D Beyond setup. We'll go to sources. We're actually going to go to game rules and go spells. Let's say we happen to be playing a bard. Okay. So we're going to click on bard spells. Eventually that will load up. There we go. Let's just take the first one, Blade Warp. We're going to put this in here. Okay, so what I'll do sometimes, instead of having to go through and copy everything, what I'll do is what I'll do for the games is I'll give the players in their journal basically a journal for them to keep track of things. Basically, a handout that they can open up and edit and all of that. So when copying and pasting, instead of having to flip back and forth between the two tabs, I'll just use the handout that the DM gives me, and then I'll just come through here and I'll save that. And then what I'll do when I'm putting all this information in, instead of having to go back over there, I'm going to just come over here and do it this way. So I'll go through and I'll put in Blade Ward. And it's a cantrip, so we know that we already put it in under cantrip, so I don't have to do anything else with it. It is Abjuration. We already have that there. It is Verbal Somatic, so we'll come down here. We'll take off Material and just leave it Verbal Somatic. Its casting time is 1 action. Its range is Self. Self for target as well. It is not concentration. Its duration is 1 round. Attack save none. Ability casting none. Output spell card, because we're going to have it say then we're going to close down Blade Ward, and now we have Blade Ward. When you click on the difference between the traits and the spells is if you click on the spell, what's going to happen is it's just going to cast it. If you just want the information from it, you click on this and it'll post it to the chat. Unlike the minimizing of the traits, you have to click on the information to minimize the spell. Now, say for example, we wanted to do a spell that does damage. For example, if I pull over Magic Missile, let's just say. Oh, forgot the I in missile. There we go. So we're going to just pull Magic Missile over here. We cast Magic Missile. What's going to happen is it's just going to roll damage for you. Now keep in mind, the way 5th edition Magic Missile is that you roll 1 dice. And that's the amount of damage that all missiles do. That's just rules as written. If DMs and players want to do it differently, you're more than welcome to say, okay, there's 3 missiles, so I roll it 3 times. And then I'll add the 3 of them up. The thing about it is if you're an evoker, you want to just roll the 1 dice, because you roll the 1 damage and all 3 of the missiles do that amount of damage. Now your evoker ability that adds your intelligence modifier to a dice roll applies to this magic missile. So if your magic missile does 2 plus 5, or whatever your modifier is, every missile is getting that bonus, not just one of them. If you roll all 3 dice, only one of those dice gets your modifier. So I always recommend to everyone just roll it once and multiply it by 3, or however many, whatever level that they're casting it at, is fine that way. Now, you can show the spell description if you want and do it that way. Alternatively, we could go through, if we wanted to go through and put Magic Missile, we put all the information in here, all stuff like that. It's an attack, it does this. We don't add any modifier to it. Now, what we can do is we can turn on the spell description so it automatically shows the spell description when you cast the spell. So when we cast Magic Missile, it says, bam, you create, and it shows you the spell description right up above it. Tells you how much damage you do, what it is, and then if you want to actually see the spell card, you can check it that way. Let's take, for example, you go through and you're going to put a Tasha's Hideous Laughter in. If I could frickin' spell. There we go. All right, so you have Hideous Laughter, which is in the SRD and the Tasha's Hideous Laughter Player's Handbook. We're just, for ease of use, we're just going to put in Hideous Laughter from the SRD. If you have the SRD, I actually have it, the Player's Handbook, so it's going to label it Tasha's Hideous Laughter. So now if we just cast Tasha's Hideous Laughter, it's just going to give us the effect here. Now it does actually now give you the spell save DC, but sometimes the spell save DCs don't work properly. They don't adjust. Well, most of the time it's adjusting from D&D Beyond to Roll20 using the Beyond 20 app. Sometimes there's a conversion in that's messed up. Another way you can do this also is you can go through over here, look at the information. We'll come down to Tasha's. It's going to say output spell card. We're actually switch it to output attack. And it doesn't have an attack on it, but it's going to put it up into a box like this. And then we're going to come down, and saving throw is a wisdom saving throw, right? With Tasha's wisdom saving throw, fall prone, become incapacitated. We're going to turn this on as well. And we're putting out its output as an attack, but we're not doing any spell attack. It's not doing any damage. We're just putting the saving throw effect in there and the effect in there like that. And we'll turn the spell description on. So then what we do now for Tasha's Hideous Laughter, what it does is when we click on it, it actually turns it into an attack. Very similar to the attack boxes up here. And then it gives us the complete spell description here. Tells us what the DC is, or they fall prone and become incapacitated. And then it gives you the spell description, and then it basically says Tasha's Hideous Laughter. It gives you the range of it, who's casting it, and then of course if you want to check the box, you can always check the card as well. That's totally up to you. But it's just an alternative way to show what everything does and make sure that everything's there that needs to be there. And again, as I mentioned, you just go through and basically copy whatever the spell is. You fill in what's the School of Enchantment, all of that, and because the levels, obviously this is for first level spells, third level spells, second level spells down here below. Put in what school it's from, casting time, all of that. Target. Sometimes the target is not necessarily in the spell description. A lot of times the target is actually in the text of the spell. For example, a creature of your choice that you can see within range. That is the target. And your range is 30 feet. So you could go in, that's how we go through and put spells in. Something else that you can do does kind of mess the Charactermancer up just a little bit. But for characters that, like druids and clerics, that have access, paladins, that have access to all their class spells, but they have to prepare so many in a day. I just drag them from first level to 9th level. If I'm playing like a druid, I went through in a campaign I have not played we last played like 2 years ago. I played a druid, a Circle of Land Druid Coast, and I went through right off the bat. Obviously, it tells you how many spell slots you have here. You can add and subtract when you cast a spell from this panel here. But I went through and actually added all the spells that druids have access to. And then used the red boxes, or the red circles, I should say, to show what was prepared. And I go through before every adventure. It makes it easier to prepare your spells before every adventure. That way, you know what spells you have access to. You can see them all on your character sheet. You don't have to look them up and all that. Now, it does mess with the Charactermancer a bit because when you do the Charactermancer, it's actually showing you what you have access to, basically how many more you can prepare as like a druid, or how many more you can prepare as a paladin. But it's not showing you having all access to all of those spells. So if you want to alternatively go through outside of using the Charactermancer and put all of the spells in that way, you can as well. But that way you can play D&D with the Charactermancer, or you can choose to not use the Charactermancer and put things in manually. There's lots of different ways that you can customize all the different abilities, all your different scores, all that stuff like that. Handouts you can create, custom roles you can put in your abilities and such like that, that will help speed up your gameplay and make it a lot easier to use Roll20, use the character sheets actually in Roll20. As I mentioned, nothing wrong at all with using D&D Beyond and the Beyond 20 app. I use that a lot for the weekends, virtual D&D weekends, because it is fairly quick and easy. But I always recommend, if you're playing a long campaign that's going to last for a while, with the same DM, the same group of players and such like that, with your home group, stuff like that, I always recommend using the Roll20 sheet, because we can add in macros, things of that nature, that allow the players to make saving throws, make ability checks, make skill checks, things like that, without having to even open up their character sheet. Just by clicking on their character, like for example, Blink's added some different token effects, token actions to his token. We have some token actions for Das's dragon. Das has a Dragon L that we're bringing over. Its movement is 30 or 60 flying. It's got its multi-attack, which just clicking on that shows that it has a multi-attack. We added, he can always check to see what it's, we can always have him send me what's its immunities and vulnerabilities. And he can just click that and it sends it to me. He can click that and it shows that it's flyby trait. He can roll its initiative as well, check its perception, which it's a GM roll, of course, but that there can make the rend attack, all of that, again, taking the left number unless the right number would apply. It can make its own saves, make a strength save for it, do its skill checks, investigation check for the Dragon L. You can add token actions as well, but that's for another situation, another time, another stream. I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to chat about today to help them, because some of them are going to be watching this video on demand later on. We're actually going to have a session 0, so that any questions they might have, we can discuss those during the session 0 stream, which we'll probably do sometime late April, and then at the same time they can get to know and talk about their characters, their backstories, all of that stuff like that, because Das actually has played with all the players in a different campaign, but does not know any of the backgrounds of all of the characters. And that way you can get to introduce, know a little bit about each one of their characters before we actually start playing Vecna Eve of Ruin on May 21st. There was something that I was going to talk about. Yeah, we can make, because I have a pro account, we can also add scripts and such, so when they use their short and long rest, it'll bring up all their hit dice and all of that. Like clicking long rest gave me back all the hit dice, because it showed that I had none. If we took damage down to 8, we're going to take a long rest. It'll give you back your hit points. Probably going to put a script in that will deal with spell slots for them as well. So that when the characters take a long rest, it'll fill up their spell slots. When they actually cast a spell, it will get rid of their spell slots that they have available and all of that. I think, though, that might be it for just talking about the basics of inputting everything manually into a Roll20 sheet, just like making a normal D&D character. But I'm sure there's going to be some more stuff come up over the next few weeks as we're leading up to it. They were posing me questions in our Discord server, so I will take some of their questions and actually put them into the next week's Dungeons and Deliberations, maybe even tomorrow for Tavern Talks with the Shifty Poor, depending on how many more questions they get or they come up with. But yeah, that is going to be it for today's stream of Dungeons and Deliberations. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching. Of course, thanks to all of our supporters, especially our patrons from Patreon. If you'd like to help support the channel, please consider becoming a patron. GP Critter 66, thank you for the subscription. Tier 1 for 6 months in advance. That is awesome. Thank you so much. Very much appreciated. As I was saying, we do love Prime subs as well. If you do have Amazon Prime, you can link it to your Twitch account, and it does give you one free sub every month. Of course, the link to our Patreon page, as well as our YouTube channel and all of our social media accounts, can be found in the About Us section below here on Twitch. If you would subscribe to us on YouTube, it is free to do. Watch the videos, like and comment on them, share them if you'd like them. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X. Give us some likes, retweets, all of that good stuff. Every sub, like, and share helps us immensely. You can also support us by clicking on the About Us section below and join the Master of Dungeons Community Discord server, where you can help shape an accepting, caring, and inclusive D&D community. The merch store is also is open. We do have some T-shirts, hoodie, some glassware, hats in there as well to help represent the Master of Dungeons channel. Thanks for watching, though. This is going to be the end of the stream for today. Again, we'll be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern for some Tavern Talks with the Shifty Board. And then again back on Thursday and Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern for Dungeon Delving, where we are playing a D&D adjacent video game right now called Lord of the Rings Online. Don't forget, next week we do start our new schedule where all of our 2 p.m. games are switching to either 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. We'll have that new schedule up on the Twitch channel. Probably on Friday. I'll put it up right after we're finished streaming on Friday. But thanks for watching again. GP Critter 66, thank you so much for the 6-month in advance sub. We will definitely have to give you another shout out tomorrow as well, and all of that. We definitely appreciate the faith you have in the channel. And everyone, take care. We will talk to you tomorrow, hopefully. And as always, happy adventuring.